All right, welcome to this week's episode of the Rock and Roll Ghost podcast. This week we're very excited to have Skating Polly's Peyton on the show. She's talking to us from Tacoma. The band is about to go on tour for their new album, Chaos County Line, which is coming out June 23rd. They're playing the Beat Kitchen here in Chicago on the 24th. Peyton, glad to have you. How's everything going before the tour starts?
It's been really, really good. We've been practicing and just doing lots of tour prep.
Yeah. Tell me a little bit about the new album. Obviously it's been 5 years since the last full length. Was that had mostly to do with the pandemic and everything, or what was the reason?
Yeah. So two things that kind of influenced that. The pandemic was a big part of it, but then Kelly had to have 2 vocal surgeries done on her vocal cords.
Oh wow.
Right around the same time. So it just took her a while to recover from that. And honestly, she's she's just constantly recovering. So
yeah.
It's still something that she's thinking about all the time. So those 2 things just really halted us for a while, but as soon as we could, we got right back into writing and touring with everything that we could at full speed.
Yeah. Now you and Kelly trade vocals a lot. What kind of worry is there about her singing? I mean, is there anything like the doctor said about it or anything?
I mean, it's been a couple years now, so it's not as pressing, but it's just we just have to make sure that she's taking care of it. Like, she does vocal warm-ups before every show. Sometimes she'll do them twice a day, like when we wake up and then right before the show.
Yeah.
She does a lot of we take personal steamers on tour with us. She steams a lot, just to make sure there's lots of moisture in her vocal cords. Just those 2 things are the main ways that she takes care of it. But she also has to do a lot of vocal rest, which can be tough, just not being able to communicate with people.
Yeah.
But she had cysts on her vocal cords.
Okay.
She had, I think, 1 on each, and they were pretty massive, according to her doctors, bigger than he'd ever seen. And he's a top national doctor for that kind of thing, I think. It was pretty bad.
Yeah, that's a pretty extreme for someone that has to sing.
Yeah. But she's recovering really well. Her voice is, I mean, I think it's so much stronger than it ever has been, while still being her voice. Mm-hmm. She hasn't really changed it. She just learned ways to control it better. And it's really, I think she's able to do a lot of things on this new record that she wasn't able to do 5 years ago.
That's an I guess an added bonus, I suppose.
Yeah.
Everybody's got their tricks. I know the weirdest one I've heard probably is why Dave Grohl always chews gum on stage, and it's because he just feels it helps his voice. And I never knew, I just found that out I think in the last year, and I'm I was always wondering why it was almost obnoxious how he was always chewing gum while he was singing. And I'm I don't know how he doesn't swallow it accidentally. But I don't know really what the pluses or minuses of that, or if that's just a thing that Dave thinks works. But of all the methods, usually it's honey and tea.
Yeah, gum seems a little difficult to deal with.
Yeah. Well, you guys are still pretty young because you started really young, but you've really amassed quite a discography over the years. And I was just looking over all the people who've been in your camp. I mean, Exene Cervenka was an early admirer. Shirley Manson from Garbage. You worked with Veruca Salt's Louise Post and Dina Gordon on an EP. Cliff Spurlock used to be on in the Flaming Lips, has worked with you guys and has always been a supporter. But how I found out about you was just random. Back when Courtney Love had an Instagram account, she was singing your praises. And I
Oh,
was like, wow, that's, like, for me, because that's my era, that's pretty big, a pretty big
yeah,
praise. So I started looking into you from there, and I got really interested because it's like, it's not so much just the music, but it's just the feel of you guys is very, uh, to me, the real ethos of the 90s. Very, just, just going at it. You guys sound like you're having fun. It's not
yeah,
too fussed with, especially nowadays. Things are so overproduced. Like having a band just be who they are and throwing, just putting it all out there was just such a great find. Um, I mean, how do you feel about, I guess, being compared to a time that, you know, you guys were really not around to enjoy much of?
I mean, we really like all of that music. I wouldn't like, necessarily categorize us as being like anything like that. We draw a lot of inspiration from it. So
Yeah,
we
yeah.
never mind. I mean, we really love when people like can see that inspiration. Um, yeah. That's wild about Courtney Love that I
No, you
never
didn't
knew
know
that.
that?
No.
If she took down her Instagram account, if she hadn't, I would have. I'm surprised no one brought that up to you. That's bizarre
Yeah,
because
that's
she like was
crazy.
going on and on about you for a while.
And I'll have to see if Kelly knows about that because that'll like blow her mind. Kelly actually owns some Courtney Love dresses.
Oh, cool.
So
The back from back in the day.
yeah, like a really good friend gifted her some that
Oh, that's
belong to
cool.
Courtney, and there's like photos of her in them, and it's really
Oh, that's
cool. Yeah,
awesome. Yeah, like I said, if her Instagram were still up, I would point you to it, but I don't know. She just went off the grid recently, so I don't know what's going on with her.
yeah.
But I mean, God, that the amount of praise you've gotten has just been insane. And what is? I mean, you were getting a lot of praise really early on too. I mean, Viggo Mortensen, the actor, loved you. He put one of your songs at the end of his directorial debut. I mean, just what does that feel like to be a band that's coming up and have so many bigger, like people have been doing it for a while, like just sing your praises? What is that like?
I mean, we really love it. It's super nice. But I think the best part is a lot of these people that will sing our praises who have been doing it for a while, like they're really just good friends of ours. And
Yeah.
I think that's honestly the best part is just like having these really good friends who are also like mentors in a lot of ways because they've been doing this kind of thing for so long.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, well, sorry, I've been bouncing all over the place here, but the new album. So tell me about how Chaos County Line got started, and what the process was of writing and recording it, and the process of getting it from beginning to end, I guess.
Yeah, so a lot of the songs we've been working on for a long time. Like I think the first one that I mean, well, there's one that we wrote when we were children, like when we were first getting started, that's on the record. And then
Really?
yeah, it's called Party House. It's the last track, and we wrote it when Kelly was probably like maybe like 12, I would guess. And we just redid it with our with we redid it with some family members and just had a bunch of family singing on it. We recorded it ourselves and then sent it to Brad Wood to mix and to mix it.
Yeah.
And so there's that one that's kind of an outlier, but a lot of the songs we've had for ages. And then we just made a big list of every single song that we had, like new and old, that we thought could be something. I think it was a list of like 30 or 40 songs, or not like full songs, but like pieces, like melodies here
Yeah.
and there. Like some of them were of bigger than others. And we rented a cabin out in like just like the middle of nowhere in Washington and stayed there for a month just working away on it. We recorded demos every day. We worked on writing new songs and finishing songs. just for a month, just the three of us. And the closest like actual town with things to do was about half an hour away. So we were pretty isolated, which was nice because we didn't find ourselves just like making excuses to go out and like walk around the town or like go see a show or like whatever. We were just like in the cabin. If we wanted to go somewhere, we had to go 30 minutes away. So it was just the three of us for a month, and we did a lot of songwriting, but we also spent a lot of time just like hanging out with each other and bonding. It was around Halloween, so we watched a lot of scary movies. And one of the songs on the record is called Man Out There. Like that song kept me up at night because we were in the middle of nowhere in Washington, a cabin, giant windows in the cabin, just like, and when it got dark out, it was complete darkness. And this is a scary song. Like it was a song about having someone watching you through your big windows. So like it kept me up at night in that cabin.
Yeah, I can imagine. That doesn't sound like it sounds like you kind of made a semi-scary situation even scarier by focusing on it in the writing and also really indulging in horror films.
Yeah, no, it was really fun. We'd never done anything like that. Every other album we've just written at our homes.
Yeah.
So it was just such a treat to like actually be able to like afford to do that and have the resources to do that.
Yeah.
Then after we wrote it, we tried to get right into the studio. I think we like had like a week off, and then we drove to LA to record it. And it didn't go as planned. We weren't as tight with them as we would have liked to like have been to record them. And then on top of that, our producer, Brad, had just like a family emergency that he had to go to Arizona and help take care of a lot of family stuff with his mom. So we had to stop recording. We were there for maybe less than a week, I think. And we stopped recording. We went home, and then we had a tour, and we just kept pushing back when we would actually get in the studio. But we got back in after our tour, and we were so tight. It was like it was the right choice to push it until after the tour. We were like the kind of tight that you only get from touring. And we went in and got it recorded, and I think we went back in the summer just to finish a few things up. And then from there, it was just a matter of mixing and mastering.
Yeah. And then you worked with Brad on it when you came off the tour, correct?
Yeah, Brad produced it. He mixed it. He's an amazing producer. He's done so many legendary albums that we've been listening to since we were little kids.
Yeah.
And he really brings something to the recording process. Like it's just he's really in tune with us. I feel like with all three of us individually, and then all three of us as a band, he's really in tune with all of our music. He just like he kind of sees where it needs to go whenever we're having trouble with it, and he never makes us do anything, but he'll have like suggestions or just like little like thoughts that'll like open up new ideas from us. He's really good at pulling out ideas from us. I just love working with him.
Yeah, he's been one of my favorites for so long, and he's worked with so many tremendously cool people, as you mentioned. How did you get introduced to Brad?
I mean, like to personally, or
to end up like deciding to work with him.
So I'm sure you know, but like he helped make one of our favorite records of all time, Exene Cervenka. It's just like something that me and Kelly constantly go back to. It's we love that record. I think it's in both of our top fives
ever made.
Yeah. So and we'd known other stuff that he did, like we love Veruca Salt. And then there's stuff that he's shown us since that we really have fallen in love with, like Red Meat. So our starting point was Exile in Guyville and just all the Liz stuff that he did.
Yeah.
And then he's from Chicago, and we have a lot of people who are from Chicago that are on our team, and we've had a lot of people from Chicago. So I don't remember who it was. We met him whenever we did the Nina and Louise I can't think of the word.
EP
Collaboration.
Oh, collaboration.
Yeah. So we met him through that, and I can't remember who introduced us to Nina and Louise. I think it was our old publisher, I think. So we set that up, and then he came to one of our shows in LA, Brad did, and we met him at that show. And I think we were sort of starstruck. We weren't at that point. I don't think it was like confirmed that we were going to be working with him on this Nina and Louise thing. So it almost felt like an audition, because that's what we wanted. And we were just starstruck. And I think I was running around the venue barefoot, and I had my dog with me, and then I just happened to run into a group of people, and he was one of the people, and I just kind of like fell backwards, just like, oh.
Yeah.
But he's a really good friend now. We love him to death. He's just like, we text him every single day, whether we're recording or not, every single day.
That's cool.
Yeah, we love him. We love his family. It's just like, I never, whenever I was a kid, would have imagined that we would be close friends with one of our favorite producers.
Yeah, that's got to be pretty amazing. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think like even early on, like there was an interview we did where they asked like, who do you want to work with? And two of the people we said we've worked with now, one was Brad and the other was Calvin Johnson.
Yeah. Calvin.
So, yeah.
That was I don't know. I mean, I know Calvin a bit, but he's kind of like in larger than life figure out there in the Pacific Northwest. And you know, it's funny, my knowledge of Calvin's work is a little bit of his actual recorded work, but it's like I just reread the Kurt Cobain biography, Heavier Than Heaven, again recently.
Yeah.
He comes up, and you know, he was one of the people that Kurt kind of like, you know, latched on to early, and then kind of rejected later. But Kurt was like obviously a complicated person, to put it mildly. But yeah, that's really cool that you're getting to work with all these people that you admired and everything, and you're pushing everything further. And like I said, and underline, you know, that while like you guys remind me of the ethos of the time, you know, that of music that kind of I came of age in, you do feel also new and fresh. I mean, especially nowadays when rock music, it's there, but a lot of it's not getting the attention that it does. How do you feel about being in a rock band in this day and age?
I love it. I mean, there are a lot of things that I don't obviously know firsthand what it was like being in a rock band in the 90s, whenever music was this huge thing and like people got $1 million budgets for videos.
Yeah.
I've only heard about it, and that sounds great too. But I love being in a band now. I think it's amazing. We might not get as much of a budget for things. We might not be making as much money or becoming as like commercially successful, but I think it's perfect. I love the scale that we're on. I of course want to keep moving up, but I love everything about it. I love touring. I love writing with Curtis and Kelly. I love being in the studio. It's just like it's one of my favorite things about, I mean, it's about like my whole life. It's just really I've been doing it for so long. I can't imagine like making the choice when I was like 14 to not do music. Like I got really lucky that I happened to make such a important choice. And I made it the right choice too. Like it could have gone the other way.
Yeah. Is it a he or she?
She
is very cute.
Yeah. Her name's Georgie.
I had a couple other Chihuahuas in the past too, like, you know, regular Chihuahuas, and they're adorable animals.
I love them. I think that they get a bad rap with a lot of people.
Yeah,
because
yeah,
they're so yippy, but she's also super chill, super sweet,
yeah.
really easygoing. She loves people.
That's good.
Yeah.
It looks like a lovely day there too.
Yeah, it's super nice outside.
Yeah.
I
So
meant
that
to
you
be
guys
home
all,
before the interview.
yeah. Did you
Sorry.
guys all move to Tacoma?
Yeah, we moved to Tacoma when I was 19, I think, 2015 maybe. I
Okay.
honestly can't remember.
What
It's
was the
been eight
decision?
years now.
What was the decision to move there from? You guys were in Oklahoma before, obviously.
Yeah. So we moved with our entire family. It wasn't just the three of us. It was our
Okay.
parents and my two biological brothers who aren't in the band.
Yeah.
Um and and we'd been wanting to get out of Oklahoma for a long time. All of us had.
Yeah.
And then we came up to Washington. We were in Olympia for a little bit to record our third album with Calvin Johnson.
Mhm.
And we just really, really fell in love with the area. Our parents fell in love with the area because they drove us up here and came with us
Right.
we were still kids at that point. And then as soon as they got the money, the opportunity to move, they just did it. There wasn't much like thought put into it. It was just like, oh, we have this money now, we should move now.
Right.
Let's go to Washington. So they flew out here and they were looking at Seattle and Olympia and just happened to look at Tacoma because it was like, it's not exactly halfway between, but somewhere in between there,
Right.
in between the two. And they they found it really lovely, and they found a really great house in like the perfect spot in Tacoma. And it was a lot cheaper than living either in Seattle or Olympia at the time. Now
Okay.
it's insanely, I mean, it's just ridiculously expensive now. But so they picked a house, they signed all the papers, and then they flew back home, and we all started moving up.
That's cool. That's cool. All
Yeah.
right. So, what's your favorite thing about living in Tacoma?
Mm, I don't know. It's so hard. I love the people here. I think that they're so um I get a lot of joy out of just like making small talk with everyone that like I see daily around here. I think it's so beautiful. You can see the mountain, you can see water. We live right on the sound, so it's um just like the ocean and then the mountains, and it's really beautiful here.
Yeah.
It's got a lot of it's just got a lot of great things going for it. I think it's really underrated, Tacoma, like compared to Seattle and Olympia. I think that a lot of people, it gets a lot of hate from those places, especially Seattle, but I just think it's really cozy, even though it's still quite a big city.
Yeah.
That's probably my favorite thing about it, just how cozy it can feel, even though it's still a big city.
Yeah.
So you get like the perks of living in a small place while still living in a big place.
Yeah. I don't know much about Tacoma. I do. There's a song by Nico Case on one of her, I think her second album, where I think it's called South Tacoma Way, where it's kind of like a love and hate letter to Tacoma. That's
Yeah.
pretty good.
Yeah.
So I guess check that out if you haven't
Yeah.
heard
I definitely get that. There are lots of like drawbacks to it.
Yeah.
I mean, like
Well,
drawbacks
you
of
live
any city, I
anywhere and
think.
you love
Yeah.
and hate aspects of it.
Yeah.
I mean, I love Chicago, but there's also a lot like about Chicago. It's like, oh God, I don't know why I live here, but
Yeah. Yeah.
that always gets. Then you think about leaving. It's like, well, where else am I going to go that I'm also not going to, love and hate as well? So that's the
Yeah.
problem with the idea of moving. Well, how long are you guys on tour for? I know that it's just starting, but
It's about a month. So we leave tomorrow. Our first show isn't until the 22nd, though. We just have a long drive.
yeah,
And then our last show is July 16th, but then we have a long drive back because it's in New Orleans. So we're going to get back around the 20th of July. So it's pretty much perfectly a month.
yeah.
So
So
we'll be on the road.
what's the plan after the tour? Just resting a bit and then touring again, or
Yeah. So, I mean, we don't have any other tours set up right now. We do plan on scheduling more touring for the remainder of the year. We have a show in, I think, Olympia on August 27th. Other than that, it's just being home, taking care of home stuff. I'm moving as soon as we get back from tour. Not cities, just homes.
Yeah.
And then I have a big backpacking trip planned for August, right after our Olympia show.
Oh, cool.
And then hopefully just right back to touring after that.
Yeah. What about when you're not touring? Do you hold down a steady, like any kind of a gig, or what do you do?
So mostly I just like recently I've been working pretty much full time just on skating poly stuff. We've been getting a lot of traction.
Yeah.
So it's just a lot of stuff to do every day. It feels like
Yeah.
it feels like a full time like desk job or something.
Gotcha.
But whenever I have time to make a little extra money, I'll help out around my mom's law firm.
Nice. That's cool.
Yeah.
All right. What's kind of like anything that musically that you're listening to right now? What's like some new discoveries or some things that you're into?
I've been listening to it's not a new discovery. It's like kind of like a rediscovery because I've been listening to a lot of Bright Eyes. I listened to Bright
Okay.
Eyes so much in high school. Like it
Yeah.
was basically my high school soundtrack for years. And then we went on tour in Europe, and our tour manager over there really loved Bright Eyes, so he was playing it in the van. I'm like, oh, I forgot about this song.
Yeah.
Just like several times, and I've been listening to a lot of Bright Eyes. And one of my favorite bands, Together Pangea, I'm constantly listening to them. And then Hop Along, they haven't put out anything new in a while, but I'm really hoping they will. Hop Along is just like one, if not my favorite, just one of my favorite like current bands.
Okay. Very cool. Very cool. Is there any tour stop that you're looking forward to that maybe you haven't been to before, or you get to spend maybe a little bit of time in?
So I think that I'm really excited to play New Orleans. We've never played New Orleans before. We've been, and I love it. And I'm so excited to play it. But I'm really looking forward to going back to Montreal. I love
Cool.
Montreal. It's just so chill and super pretty.
Yeah.
The last time I was there, I had a bad parking experience. So I'm gonna try to avoid that this time. I spent 2 hours trying to park around downtown Montreal, and it was brutal. And I had I had 2 breakdowns in the 2 hours. I started crying heavily.
That's a long time trying to park.
Yeah. I was so upset. So I'm gonna try to avoid that. I think it's just where we were staying. We'll stay somewhere different this time. And then I'm so excited to go back to Montreal. And then we have a few days off in the New York area. I don't think we'll spend most of it in the city, but just around the area, which I'm really looking forward to. And then we always love playing Minneapolis, and that's where we're starting the tour off. So it's going to be, I think, a really strong start to the tour.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, Peyton, I really appreciate you taking the time today. I look forward to hopefully, I don't know if I'm going to see the Beat Kitchen show, but hopefully I'll catch you on tour at some point. And the new album, Chaos County Line, is out June 23rd. So check that out. Peyton and the band would probably prefer you to buy it than just stream it, because we all know that bands don't get anything really from streaming. So be a good person and buy an album this week. All right, Peyton, thank you very much. Tell everybody in the band I said hello, and to keep doing what you're doing, because it's really good.
All right. Thank you so much.
Take care.
You too. Bye.
All right, bye.